Welcome to Overnight Market Brief, Pre-Market Edition by AGI Era. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 28, 2026, and it is shortly after 8 a.m. Eastern Time. This is your executive summary of global market developments, analyzing the overnight flows in Asia and Europe, the key macro drivers, and the setup for the North American Open. The prior session and macro context. First, a look back at yesterday's close. Wall Street finished firmly in risk-on mode, primarily driven by a weakening U.S. dollar and anticipation surrounding the upcoming Federal Reserve decision. The S&P 500 settled at 69.79, up 0.41%, while the Nasdaq 100 advanced 0.89% to close at 25,940. Crucially, the session was driven by a broad-based rally in equities, but the real story right now is in the macro assets. Right now, the 10-year Treasury Yield is trading at 4.244%, effectively unchanged, down 0.05%. The U.S. dollar index is marginally weaker at 95.99, down 0.06%, while crude oil is higher around 62.81, up 0.67%. Gold has seen a significant move, trading up 3.74% at 53.1209, suggesting underlying safe haven demand or inflation concerns. The dollar's continued weakness, pinned near a four-year low following recent comments, is providing a tailwind for risk assets, particularly growth-oriented equities, by easing financial conditions. Overnight session, Asia and Europe. Moving to the overnight session, global markets have been mixed. In Asia, the picture was mixed. In Tokyo, the Nikkei 225 finished marginally higher, up 0.05%, tracking broader regional sentiment. Meanwhile, in Greater China, the Seng surged 2.57%, while the Shanghai Composite advanced 0.27%. The significant outperformance in Hong Kong appears to be driven by technical positioning and a general risk-on sentiment in the region, despite a muted reaction in broader Asian FX to the dollar's movements. In Europe, major indices are trading with a cautious tone. The price action suggests investor apprehension following news of a cut in Germany's growth forecast and a decline in Irish retail sales, providing a defensive lead-in for U.S. traders. However, positive consumer sentiment data from Italy and Germany offered some counterbalance. U.S. futures and the open. Turning to the U.S. pre-market, equity futures are trading higher. S&P 500 futures are trading up 0.25%, while Nasdaq 100 futures are up 0.83%. The relative performance suggests investors are rotating into tech and growth stocks, a move supported by the stable 10-year Treasury Yield, which is not exerting upward pressure on discount rates for future earnings. The daily catalyst. Looking ahead to the session, investors are focused on three key catalysts. First, the ongoing anticipation of the upcoming Federal Reserve decision continues to dominate market narratives, influencing dollar movements and broader risk appetite. Second, the Australian CPI data released overnight has ramped up expectations for potential RBA rate hikes, providing a key inflation signal for global markets. And finally, the German government's revised growth forecast cut is weighing on European sentiment and will be closely watched for its implications on the Eurozone's economic trajectory. Given the overnight setup in rates and the dollar, the market's path of least resistance appears to be higher, pending any surprises from the data releases. That concludes your overnight market brief. This podcast is not financial advice. Data may be delayed or inaccurate. Always conduct your own due diligence.